Welcome, fellow traveler of the cosmos. Tonight we are going to leave the noisy, chaotic world behind. We are going to journey far beyond our blue planet, far beyond our solar system, to a place where time and space behave like a gentle, flowing river. I want you to take a deep breath in and exhale slowly. Let go of today's worries. The universe is incredibly vast, and in its grand design, your earthly troubles are as light as stardust. For the longest time, humanity believed the space between stars was just empty, silent nothingness. We thought that if something didn't shine, it couldn't be seen. But the universe is full of hidden wonders. Today, we are going to witness something that was considered impossible for a century. We are going to explore the ultimate cosmic paradox: how the darkest, most invisible objects in existence created the loudest, most powerful event we have ever witnessed. We are going to explore the monumental collision of two black holes. So, settle in, get comfortable, and let your imagination float into the beautiful, dark unknown. To truly appreciate the magnitude of what we are about to witness, we must first understand the stage on which this cosmic drama unfolds. Over 100 years ago, Albert Einstein looked up at the stars and reimagined the universe. He told us that space is not just an empty room where planets and stars exist. Instead, space and time are woven together into a flexible, invisible fabric. We call it spacetime. When a massive object, like a star, sits on this fabric, it bends it, creating a curve. This invisible curve is what we experience as gravity. It is the reason the Earth orbits the Sun and the Moon orbits the Earth. But Einstein's mathematics predicted something even more extraordinary. He proposed that if the heaviest, most extreme objects in the universe were to smash into each other, they would cause the very fabric of space-time to ripple, much like throwing a heavy stone into a perfectly still lake. These ripples are called gravitational waves. For a century, this idea was just a beautiful theory on paper. The waves would be so unbelievably tiny by the time they reached Earth that Einstein himself thought we would never, ever be able to detect them. We were looking at a silent, still universe, deaf to its deepest, most profound vibrations. But human curiosity is a relentless force. We built magnificent instruments, we waited patiently in the dark, and finally, the universe spoke to us. But what lies in the absolute dark? Let us begin our journey by looking into the deep, ancient cosmos, billions of light years away from your comfortable bed. Here, in the freezing, peaceful silence of the void, two invisible titans are waiting. These are black holes. They are the remnants of massive, ancient stars that burned incredibly bright and then collapsed under their own immense weight. Imagine taking an entire mountain and crushing it down to the size of a single grain of sand. That is the kind of density we are dealing with. There is a common myth that black holes are cosmic vacuum cleaners, aggressively sucking up everything in the universe. But the truth is much more elegant. They only pull in what crosses their immediate path. From a distance, they are just incredibly heavy, peaceful anchors in the dark fabric of space. How did this cosmic dance begin? Long before our Earth was even formed, these two black holes found each other. Perhaps they were born together as twin stars, shining beautifully side by side in a glowing nebula. When they died, their light went out, but their gravitational bond remained. Now, they are locked in a slow, eternal waltz. Imagine two dark dancers holding hands, spinning gracefully in an endless, completely dark ballroom. There is no light here. There is no sound. There is only the steady, rhythmic pull of gravity holding them together as they circle one another, century after century, millennium after millennium. Let us explore the invisible ropes of gravity. As they circle each other, They are not moving through empty space, they are moving through the fabric of space-time itself. Imagine a heavy bowling ball and a heavy iron weight rolling around each other on a tightly stretched trampoline. As they move, the trampoline sags and ripples beneath them. Because these black holes are so unimaginably heavy, their movement is stirring the very essence of reality. They are churning the fabric of space, creating invisible waves that radiate outward. It is a silent symphony played on the strings of the universe. Notice the subtle loss of energy. These gravitational waves, these ripples on the cosmic trampoline, carry energy away from our two dark dancers. Because they are losing energy to these waves, they cannot keep their distance from one another. Very slowly, over millions of years, their orbits begin to shrink. The waltz is turning into an embrace. This process is so slow, so gradual, that if you were floating nearby, you might not notice any change for thousands of lifetimes. It is a beautiful reminder that the universe is never in a rush. It has all the time in the world. The pace begins to quicken. We often think of space as completely static, but here the tension is rising. As the two black holes drift closer together, the grip of their mutual gravity becomes intensely strong. They pull on each other harder, and because of this, they must move faster. What was once a slow, lazy orbit taking years to complete, now takes months, then weeks, then days. Imagine a coin spinning around a funnel. As it gets closer to the center, it spins faster and faster. The quiet waltz is becoming a fierce, rapid spiral. Approaching the point of no return, the black holes are now incredibly close. They are whirling around each other multiple times a second. The speeds are becoming unimaginable. They are traveling at a significant fraction of the speed of light. Let us debunk another myth here. You cannot actually see black holes colliding with your eyes, no matter how powerful your telescope is. They emit absolutely no light. If you were right next to them, looking out the window of a spaceship, you would only see a distorted, swirling lens of darkness, warping the light of the distant background stars. It is an event of supreme violence, cloaked in perfect invisibility. The final moments before the merger. This is the crescendo of our invisible symphony. The two black holes are now moving so fast that time itself is behaving strangely around them. The ripples they are sending into space-time are no longer gentle waves. They are powerful, violent tsunamis of gravity. Imagine the strings of a grand piano being struck with immense, overwhelming force. The fabric of the universe is screaming in a language we cannot hear. The distance between their event horizons, the invisible boundary where not even light can escape, is shrinking to mere miles. The fraction of a second that changed everything. And then it happens. The two event horizons touch. The two spheres of pure darkness merge into one. This is the exact moment of the collision. It takes less time than a single blink of your eye. In this tiny fraction of a second, the two separate entities cease to exist, forming a single, massive, distorted black hole. Imagine two drops of water meeting on a leaf. They instantly snap together to form a larger, wobbling drop. But here, the drops are made of pure, concentrated gravity. The explosion of pure energy. What happens in that exact moment of merging is hard for the human mind to grasp. A massive amount of mass, equivalent to 3 times the weight of our entire sun, is instantly converted into pure energy. But this energy is not light, it is not heat, it is pure gravitational energy. For that one brief millisecond, this invisible collision generates more power than all the stars in all the galaxies in the entire observable universe combined. Let that sink in. The most powerful explosion since the Big Bang, and it is completely silent and completely dark. The aftermath and the ring down. The newly born single black hole is not perfect at first. It is misshapen, vibrating wildly like a struck bell. This phase is beautifully called the ring down. It shakes out its imperfections, sending final, sharp ripples into space-time, until it settles into a perfect, smooth sphere of darkness. Imagine a bell chiming loudly, and then the sound slowly fading away into perfect silence. The fierce cosmic storm has passed. The new giant settles into a long, quiet slumber, spinning peacefully in the void. The journey of the wave begins. While the new black hole rests, the immense energy it released is now racing outward in all directions. A massive wave in space-time is expanding at the speed of light. Imagine dropping a massive boulder into a perfectly still pond. The splash is over, but the circular ripples are spreading out, traveling further and further from the center. This wave is carrying the story of the collision across the cosmos. It is a whisper from the ancient past, beginning a journey that will last for more than 1 billion years. Passing through the ancient universe, the wave travels through the dark expanse. It passes right through entire galaxies, washing over millions of stars. But space-time is incredibly stiff. Unlike water, it does not bend easily. As the wave travels, it gets weaker and weaker, stretching out over the vast distances. Imagine a shout in a massive canyon. The further you are from the source, the fainter the echo becomes. The wave sweeps silently through cosmic dust clouds and dead planets, unseen and unfelt by the quiet universe. Earth is still young. While this wave is traveling through the cosmos, time is passing back in our own solar system. When the black holes collided, Earth was a very different place. The wave travels for 100 million years, then 500 million years. On our blue planet, oceans form, continents drift apart, single-celled life begins to evolve, dinosaurs roam the forests and eventually disappear. All the while, this silent ripple is racing toward us, a cosmic messenger traveling at the absolute speed limit of the universe. Entering the Milky Way, fast forward through the eons, the wave finally reaches the outer edges of our own galaxy, the Milky Way. It is incredibly faint now, a mere ghost of its former power. Many people fear that cosmic events like this could destroy Earth, believing the myth that gravitational waves could tear our planet apart. But rest assured, by the time this wave reaches our galaxy, it is so small, so subtle, that it will barely move an atom. It brings no danger, only profound knowledge. It is a gentle, invisible caress from the deep universe. Humanity looks to the stars. While the wave is crossing our galaxy, humanity is waking up. We look at the stars, we build telescopes, we invent mathematics, we discover the rules of gravity. Albert Einstein writes his beautiful equations, predicting this exact invisible ripple. He thinks we will never build a machine sensitive enough to feel it. But generations of scientists dream otherwise. They dedicate their lives to building the impossible. They construct massive, incredibly precise instruments on Earth, hoping one day to catch a whisper from the stars. The grand design of LIGO. Let us look at the magnificent traps we set for this cosmic wave. We built the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory, or LIGO. Imagine 2 massive rulers, each 2.5 miles long, laid out on the ground in the shape of a giant L. Inside these rulers are perfect vacuums and incredibly bright lasers bouncing off perfect mirrors. We measure the distance the light travels. If a gravitational wave passes through the Earth, it will stretch one ruler and squeeze the other by a fraction of an atom. It is like trying to measure the change in distance to the nearest star by the width of a single human hair. The silent vigil. For years, these massive instruments sat in perfect silence. The scientists carefully tuned the lasers, isolated the mirrors from the vibrations of passing trucks, earthquakes, and even the crashing of ocean waves miles away. They waited. It is deeply humbling to think about this patience. Imagine sitting in a dark, quiet room for a decade, listening carefully for a single, faint pin drop in the house next door. They were listening for the universe to speak, hoping their ears were sensitive enough to hear the grand symphony. The wave touches Earth, and then, on a seemingly ordinary day, September 14th, 2015, the billion-year journey comes to an end. The wave arrives. It does not crash into the atmosphere like a meteor. It simply passes right through the Earth. It passes through the oceans, through the mountains, and straight through you. For a fraction of a second, the entire planet and everything on it is very gently stretched in one direction and squeezed in another. It is a movement so impossibly small that you could never feel it. But you were touched by a billion-year-old black hole collision. The mirrors move. As the wave washes over the Earth, it passes through the giant L-shaped tubes of LIGO. Very gently, it stretches one arm of the detector and compresses the other. The distance the laser light travels changes by a distance 1/10,000th the width of a proton. It is an achingly beautiful moment. The universe reached out with an invisible hand and softly plucked the strings of our instrument. The lasers record the change. A signal is born on a computer screen. The invisible has finally become visible. The cosmic chirp. The signal that appeared was not just a random spike, it had a specific, beautiful pattern. It started low and slow, and then rapidly increased in pitch and volume before suddenly stopping. Scientists translated this pattern of light into an audio file. We call it a chirp. Imagine the sound of a bird whistling upward, or a drop of water sliding down a smooth surface. Whoop. That simple, tiny sound was the translated echo of the most violent event in the universe. We did not just see the collision. For the first time in history, we heard it. The shockwave of discovery. When the scientists saw the data, there was disbelief. Could it be a mistake? Was it a glitch in the system? But another detector, 3,000 miles away, recorded the exact same signal, a fraction of a second later, perfectly tracking the wave as it passed through the Earth. The realization washed over them. It was real. Einstein was right. We had done it. Imagine the profound peace and joy of solving a puzzle that humanity had been working on for 100 years. The darkness was no longer silent. A new sense is awakened. This discovery fundamentally changed how we relate to the cosmos. Before this moment, everything we knew about space came from looking at light. Telescopes were our eyes. But discovering gravitational waves gave humanity a brand new sense. We grew cosmic ears. Imagine watching a beautiful, intricate movie on silent for your entire life, and suddenly, someone turns on the volume. The universe is no longer just a silent painting. It is a booming, vibrant, singing orchestra. What this means for the unseen. Because we can now feel these ripples in gravity, we can study things that emit absolutely no light. We can explore the dark side of the universe. We can find black holes hiding in the empty void. We can peer back to the very beginning of time, potentially sensing the echoes of the Big Bang itself. There is a myth that we have already discovered everything there is to know about space. But the truth is, we have only just opened a new door. The most beautiful mysteries are still waiting in the dark, ready to be felt. The realization of our deep connection. Think about how deeply connected we are to the cosmos. The atoms in your body were forged in the hearts of ancient stars, And now we know that the space you occupy is constantly rippling with the echoes of distant, massive cosmic events. You are not separate from the universe, you are floating within its fabric. Imagine being a tiny boat on a vast, peaceful ocean, gently rising and falling with swells that originated from storms thousands of miles away. You are part of a massive, living cosmic sea. The power of human imagination. It is profoundly soothing to consider the power of the human mind. We are small, fragile creatures living on a pale blue dot, orbiting an average star. Yet, with our minds, we can reach out across billions of light years. We can build machines out of glass, metal, and light to measure the invisible stretching of reality itself. Imagine the peace that comes from knowing our curiosity can conquer any darkness. When we look up, we are not just looking at the unknown, we are looking at mysteries we will one day understand. Looking into the future, the story does not end here. Since that first chirp, our detectors have heard many more cosmic collisions. Black holes merging, neutron stars crashing. We are building larger, more sensitive detectors. We are even planning to send 3 incredible spacecraft, millions of miles apart, to form a giant detector in the pure silence of deep space. Imagine a golden triangle floating behind the Earth, catching the deepest, slowest bass notes of the universe's grand song. The future of exploration is incredibly bright and deeply peaceful. Finding peace in the immense scale. Sometimes, the vastness of space can feel overwhelming or scary. But let us shift that perspective. When you realize that the universe is so incredibly huge, and that phenomena like black holes operate on scales of billions of years, it can bring a deep sense of relief. Your daily stresses, the traffic, the emails, the worries of tomorrow, they shrink down to nothing. Imagine holding a tiny grain of sand up to a massive starry night sky. That is your worry. It is okay to let it go. The universe is holding you safe in its grand, slow rhythm. The invisible harmony around us. Right now, as you listen to this, gravitational waves from countless unseen events are gently washing over you. They are stretching you by fractions of an atom, completely harmlessly. It is a constant, invisible hug from the cosmos. There is a deep, underlying harmony in nature. The collision of those 2 black holes was violent, yes, but it resulted in a larger, calmer whole. Imagine a storm passing, leaving behind a perfectly clear, crisp night sky. The universe always seeks balance and rest. A moment to reflect and breathe. Let us take a moment to just be present with this knowledge. You now know the secret of the dark. You know that even in the darkest corners of reality, magnificent dances are taking place. You know that space is a fabric, and you are woven into it. Close your eyes if they are not already. Take another slow, deep breath. Feel the gravity of the Earth pulling you gently down, keeping you safe and grounded in your bed or your chair. You are exactly where you need to be. The enduring legacy of the cosmic chirp. The energy of that ancient collision has passed us by. The wave continues its journey out into the endless void, carrying the memory of the black holes further into the unknown. But here on Earth, the memory remains. We captured it. We listened to it. We understood it. Imagine writing a beautiful secret on a piece of paper and letting it float away on a gentle stream. The universe shared its secret with us, and we were finally quiet enough and patient enough to listen. And so, our journey to the deepest, darkest parts of the universe comes to a gentle close. We have watched 2 invisible titans merge into one. We have ridden a wave of pure gravity across a billion years of silent space, and we have felt the soft, harmless stretch of the cosmos right here on Earth. The universe is no longer a silent, empty void. It is a vibrating, whispering symphony, and we are finally learning how to hear its music. I hope this grand perspective has brought a sense of peace to your mind and a sense of wonder to your heart. When you look up at the night sky now, remember that you are not just looking, you are listening to the echoes of eternity. Thank you for traveling with us through the fabric of space-time. If you found a moment of peace and awe in this cosmic journey, please subscribe and leave a gentle like. I would love to know, if you could listen to any other hidden event in the universe, what would you choose to hear?